Jay here, straight for the paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen. We are live, so get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. And if you want a weather report from sunny Salford, it actually is pretty sunny. I've been out in it this morning. It is lovely. Apologies for being a few minutes late. I was just sorting myself out. Good to see the usual suspects in the chat. As always, a full name Huggy, Jacoya Trott, Mick Holohan, Maurice Marshall. Who else have we got here? Chris Quigley. Oh, hang on a minute. What's that? Did someone put the wrong time on the thing? Forgive me if I did, but we are live now anyway, aren't we? So it's all good. Loads of stories to get through. And most of the stories this morning is or do focus on Manchester United trying to get rid of a few players, because we know we've been linked with a load of players, haven't we, coming in? We know that we've been linked very heavily with Bryan Mbeumo. I'm going to get into that one in a minute. Also, Victor Gyökeres. Feels like, right, let me know what you think. Is anyone sort of veering towards the idea that Gyökeres could actually happen and is more likely than unlikely? Because it does feel like that's the sort of sentiment I'm getting from people. People are like, you know what? I think we're going to get Victor Gyökeres. Whereas I was like, a few weeks ago, not a chance. Now I'm like, I feel like it's 50-50, if I'm being honest. But let me know what you think. Get involved. Also, as well, one or two other links as well. Emi Martinez, another couple of stories we'll get into on that too. Morton Moller, Lizard King, JHZ. Hi, guys. Good to see you. Real recognizes real, says Jay. I think it's a definite possibility. Malcolm Campbell says, morning, Jay. Caleb Deturley says, Cunha with an assist looked mint. I'm excited. It was some international football. What last night? Did England lose? Lost 3-1 to Senegal. I'm not that bothered. I'm barely bothered when United players play. I'm certainly not bothered about friendlies. And I'm certainly not bothered about England friendlies when there's no United players. So forgive me. I am English, and you know, when it's a tournament and that, I do want England to win, but I'm not that fussed. Chris Quigley says, glad I didn't have to wait 12 hours to see the majestic J. Motty. Thank you, Chris. Right, should we talk about some of these outgoings? Because there's a few stories doing the rounds about who Manchester United are going to sell, who's going to go, who's going to stay. Are we going to have this sort of big sort of selling spree to move a load of players on so that we can fund all the incomings? Because if we want Bryan Mbeumo, it looks like we can do that deal. It looks like that deal is good to go. We're speaking to Laurie from the Athletic yesterday. We've spoken to one or two other journalists as well. It doesn't feel like United have to sell necessarily to buy Bryan Mbeumo. The issue is, if we want a Victor Gyökeres, if we do want to change goalkeeper and bring in Emi Martinez, I think he might be coming towards the end of his contracts anyway. But even if we want to bring in another midfielder, which is being spoken about, how Ruben Amorim wants another 8. He wants a midfielder who can sit into this system or fit into the system. He not sit into the system works. Then we do need to sell some players. Now, one player who you'd expect to go is Antony. Now, I've been saying this for a little while, that we should be able to sell him. He's had a very good spell at Real Betis, smashing it in terms of goals, assists, player of the match award, helped them the Europa Conference final. I know he didn't turn up in that final, if we're going to be truthful, but he's had a very good loan spell. Now, you think after a spell like that, surely we can sell him. Surely if Real Betis don't want him, other clubs want him. There was talk of him going to buy Leverkusen. The latest on that one is that, I think it's in the Mail, that says that Real Betis want further talks with United over a deal for Antony, as La Liga side propose another loan with a 35 million option to buy. I don't know if I'm keen on this. Like, we need money in, and we should be able to sell him now. We shouldn't have to wait till he's done another loan spell. He proved himself at Real Betis in that loan spell. Now, I understand they're not one of the big boys in terms of the amount of money they've got to spend, but surely after the spell he's had, if they want him, they can find a dough. What do you think? Let me know what you think about this, because I'm not a football finance expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm certainly not a Real Betis expert. But do you think we should be selling Antony? Do you think there is now is the time to sell him? Would you be okay with another loan spell with an option to buy? I'm not. I just think you had him on loan. He smashed it there, right? He absolutely smashed it out of the park on his loan spell. You don't need, shouldn't take another loan spell. Usually when a player goes on loan and does what Antony did, then the club, if they want to keep him, they buy him. So there's always a danger as well. He has another loan spell there and he isn't as good. Or they go, actually, he's done all right, but we're not going to buy him. I don't think it's an obligation to buy. I think it's an option to buy. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. Does anyone actually think Antony should come back? I don't. Lee Lally says, as Laurie said yesterday, it's for PSR. Also, Caleb Deturley says Garnacho going to join Scotty. I feel it. Amir Fikri says Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbumo, dangerous duo. Tobias Nielsen says we need money, no more loans. Matthew Baker says Antony just needs to mature. Keep. He wants to keep him. George Skate says, the real Betis have any decent players that we could do a straight swap with? I'm not even keen on that. Robert Nisea says, Man City signed 4 players within 1 week and the commercial club is busy. Sleeping emojis. Derek Emmanuel says, who's coming for Sancho? Real recognises real. Going back to the Antony news, says it has to be an airtight obligation if it's a loan. Harry Potter says KDB just gone to Napoli. They're going to get Garner as well. Napoli doing bits, haven't they? They've done really well with transfers, Napoli. Obviously, Scott McTominay went there and absolutely smashed it. Chris P. Hackett says Real Betis can't afford what United will want. It does seem the case there, doesn't it? Amir Fikri also says, in Amorim we trust. Let me know what you think. Foraz says, Real Betis will never have the money to buy Antony. We should offload him to Bayer. Bayer Leverkusen apparently are interested in Antony. Obviously, Eric Ten Hag knows Antony very well. That could be a deal that works if we can get money for him. I just want to see Manchester United now moving forward, not stagnating, not more of the same. It feels like just plateauing a little bit, doesn't it? Well, we still want to get rid of him. We can't get rid of him. He's gone on loan again. What's going to happen with Marcus Rashford? What's going to get with Jadon Sancho? I'm going to get into that in a minute. These players have all gone out on loan, and now there's a good chance that all of them are back in Carrington in a few months or a month, whenever it is. And we're not stuck with them, but we're back to square one. We're looking for another club to come in and then more potential loans. We need to sell. I've said this a few times, right? We have players there we can sell. We've got players there we can get rid of and get decent money for. You can get 30 million quid for Antony. You can. After the loan spell he's had, 30 million quid for that player isn't beyond the realms of possibility. He's still in his early 20s. He's still done it at the highest level as well. I know he wasn't great at Manchester United. I'm not trying to rewrite history, but he's had a very good loan spell at Real Betis. And also he has done bits at United. It's not like he came to United and do anything at all ever. Scored against Barcelona, scored against Arsenal, scored against City. There were some big goals there. Scored against Liverpool. I'm not saying he was a success. He wasn't. But he did enough at United and what he's done at Real Betis for someone to be interested in it. And what he did at Ajax as well, helping them win the titles. Let's not forget that. So don't buy into this idea that you can't get a buyer for him. You look at Jadon Sancho. Chelsea apparently were interested in keeping him, but it was the wages, sorry. Chelsea, I think we had, was it Carl Anker on, who said Chelsea wanted to give him 90k a week. 90k a week, obviously to me or you, that's absolutely amazing. 90k a week, though, when you're on 250k a week, I don't say this very often, but I understand where Jadon Sancho is coming from if it's such a drop-off for him. I get he's going to have to take a pay cut. He ain't going to get United wages, but should his wages go back down by that much? I'm not so sure. I can understand why he might look at it and go, that's not doable, or I'm not going to do that, I should say. I think it's doable. I think he could survive off 90k a week. But I understand that. I understand why he didn't want it. It's a shame because I think he should have actually maybe bit the bullet and gone, I'll take a huge pay cut to get my career going again. But it's such a big one that to go from 250 to 90, I understand why he didn't want to do it. Hopefully other clubs come in for him. We get 5 million out of it, but come on, we need more than that. He needs it as well. And I think Amorim might need to have a word with him and just say, look, you ain't got a future here. If you come back to United, you ain't going to play. I'm not going to stick you in the resis or with the trainer. Was it had to get dressed in front of the under 18s, whatever it was, where he was having to lock the door and all this nonsense. I'm not going to do that to you, but you ain't going to part of my plans. Where does Jadon Sancho fit into a team that's got Mateus Cunha, got Ahmad, potentially bringing in Brian Mbumo as well, Mason Mount, even you could stick Kobe Mainoo in that number 10 position that Jadon Sancho would want to play in. I just don't see a pathway to the first team for him. And I don't think he's done enough at Chelsea for Amorim to go, do you know what? United got it wrong with him. Bring him back. Caleb Deturley says, Sancho absolutely nuking his career. Amorim threw Rashford out, so I don't think Amorim will like Sancho's attitude. Jacoya Trot asks, was the Eric Ten Hag Antony reunion real or rumour real? It was doing the rounds, wasn't it? I think a few papers had it. We don't know how. I mean, it might be sometimes with transfer rumours, it's a case of 2 and 2 seems to make 4. Like the whole Brian Mbumo go at Spurs thing doesn't feel like there's a lot in it in terms of actual credible sources going, look, this is going to happen. But you look at it, you go, okay, Thomas Frank's there. He had him at Brentford. Spurs are interested in him. He could probably fit into that Spurs team. He scores loads of goals in the Premier League. It all makes sense, but we're not hearing anything concrete to indicate that Brian Mbeumo wants anything other than Manchester United. Real recognises real. I hope Wirtz flops badly. I highly doubt he will, or it will happen, but that would be absolutely mint. Florian Wirtz going to Liverpool for around, was it 150 mil? But before, it's only euros though. Honestly, yeah, there was a here we go on from Romano last night. Florian Wirtz to Liverpool. What did they do? An interesting one here. Angel Gomez to Marseille. Here we go from Romano. Medical ongoing today after deal completed. Gomez in Marseille to sign a 3-year deal at Marseille after leaving Lille, as free agent. One more important addition ahead of Champions League season for Marseille. There were some rumours, weren't there, last season. Season just gone. That United might be in for Gomez. Obviously, he's been at the club. I think he was the youngest player to ever play in the Premier League for United. I think Angel Gomez. I might be wrong on that one. I think he was. He could probably fit into this team, but he ain't gonna because he ain't coming to United. So we can all just end that. I wasn't overly keen on that one. I'll be honest with you. I loved Angel Gomez when he was at United when he was a kid. Fantastic footballer. He still is a good footballer. I just don't know if he's quite what we need. Andy G says there's no sell on now because he went for a free. Yep. Stephanie Griffiths in the chat. Good morning, Jay Legend. Thanks, Steph. Can everyone hit the like button as well, please, people? If you're not subscribed to the channel as well, give us a subscribe. We're almost at 800,000. I know I bore everyone to tears with the let's get to 800,000 talk, but we are almost there. So let's get there. We can get there today. And hit that like button, please, people. Gary Neville in the chat. I don't know if it's the actual one. So I don't know who you're talking about there. Sorry, there's a bit of back and forth going there with someone called Gary Neville, which I've sort of missed that one. So yeah, Angel Gomez ain't coming to United. I don't think he really was. Florian Wirtz going to Liverpool for big money. I mean, another one that's gone as well. Another transfer that's gone. Who was linked slightly with United last season, not a lot, but there were a couple of times when he was. Leroy Sane is going to Galatasaray. There was a couple of stories I read last season. You remember we had him in the news where it was like, oh, United could be in for Leroy Sane. Don't like Leroy Sane at all. I think he's one of the most frustrating players on the planet. He's obviously very talented. There's no disputing that. But he's so frustrating. He really is. And I don't think he's the answer to any problems that Manchester United have got, to be quite frank with you. Right, let's look at some of the other stories doing the rounds. Sorry, I got a little distracted there. So there's a story in Evening News about basically who could be going, what we're going to do. Also, another story just pops up here. Johnny Evans has spoken to the BBC, said he's not sure on his future yet. I'll take a bit of time. I don't feel like I'm in a rush to do anything. I would love to see Johnny Evans at the club as a coach. I would. I think we need a bit more of that. I think we need people who've been at United when we were successful, been at United and played under Sir Alex Ferguson, who know the history of the club, know the players as well, and understand it all, helping Ruben Amorim on the coaching staff. I think that could be a good thing. I know we've got Darren Fletcher, but I think someone like Johnny Evans being involved in Manchester United in some sort of capacity would be a huge positive. That's my take on it. You may disagree. Get involved in the chat. On the Evening News, this is via Fabrizio Romano. It says there is a 40% chance of Marcus Rashford joining Barcelona this summer. It says Rashford to Barcelona probability. Romano has said that as things stand, there's no formal negotiations between the two clubs, and the England international is one of a number of options on the table for the La Liga club. United are seeking a fee in the region of 40 million for Rashford this summer. It says here as well about United's budget. We know this. United have allocated the money. I said this earlier. For and Brian Mbeumo this summer. That's sorted. If we want to buy Victor Perez, then it will be needed. It needed to be financed by player sales. Sorry. So is that going to be Marcus Rashford? Is it going to be Jadon Sancho? Is it going to be Antony? We're not quite sure what's going to happen there. Hopefully, we'll get a bit more clarity. Also, in the Evening News, it's a bit of a non-update, but mentioning the fact that Inter are still interested in Rasmus Hojlund. Could something happen there? We had a bit of a debate on Rasmus Hojlund when we did keep or sell on Monday. Seems to be split in the fan base on what should happen with Rasmus Hojlund. I'd say, from what I saw, and this isn't scientific, it's probably 60-40 in keeping him. But Again, that's not scientific, and you may disagree. Let me know what you think. CC, let's go. Onana out. I don't know what's happening with Andre Onana. We're speaking about it. Me and Joe did a video on him, the goalkeeper, yesterday. Go and check that out if you haven't done already. Listen, Onana is going into his third season now. He's been patchy, Annie. Could we maybe see him move on? I think if the Emi Martinez rumours are true, spoke about this extensively in the news. I think it was last Sunday, or it might have been the Sunday before, where it looked like there was some movement there with Emi Martinez coming from Aston Villa to Manchester United. If that happens, I do think Andre Onana will move on. There were links with him with Saudi. That has gone a bit cool. Could he potentially go back to Italy? Let's have a look. You never know. Gabe Oliver, in my mind a lot recently. 21 is coming. Alex King, member for 1 month. Need more of the brew. Okay, well, we're back with the brew on Friday. Huel Stevens says, I would say 90-10 rather than 60-40. Andy G says, don't think we sell Rasmus. Would like to keep him. Oh God, sorry, I'm trying to keep up. Think he will do well with Cunha and Mbomo. Yeah, I feel for Rasmus Hojlund. We were talking to Laurie on Inside United about this, and I get it can be frustrating. I get it sometimes that you think, what's he doing? But everyone's on his case, aren't they? If we do keep him, we just got to get behind him and hope we see a player there, because we saw it in fits and starts in his first season, didn't we? Decent returning goals. He had that purple patch around Christmas as well, and obviously scored quite a few goals in the Champions League. But last season was just terrible. I'm just hoping that was a bit of an outlier. But JB says, we get rid of Rashford, Sancho, and Garnacho. Who covers for Mbomo and Cunha if they get injured? It's a concern. I know we have Ahmad and Mount, but it's still paper thin out wide. I just cannot see any of those players having much of a future at Manchester United. Alejandro Garnacho continues to be linked with moves away. I think Napoli have been linked with him. I know they've just got Kevin De Bruyne, but that shouldn't really affect them if they wanted to come back in for him. He was even linked with a move to Chelsea only not that long ago, Garnacho. So you never know with him. I think his reputation and his star still shines quite brightly. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few offers for Alejandro Garnacho. United just need to make sure we get the right one. We should be getting at least 50 million quid for him. Genuinely. I know he's been frustrating. I know he's not scored as many goals, got as many assists as he should have done, but his numbers aren't that bad. And he's 20. And he's an exciting player who can carry the ball very well. And he's capable of scoring some great goals. He won the Puskas Award not long ago. There's a player there. It's just, is there a player for Manchester United there? Unfortunately, I don't think so. But there's certainly a player that could go to another club and do very well. And I think that players like that, they're not quite as in short supply as strikers, but teams want them. They want exciting players who can carry the ball, who can create, and he can do all those things. And he's got, many, many years ahead of him. Alan Gibson says, forget 21 is coming, 800,000 is coming. I love that. Adam Twamley says, can't have Sancho and Rashford, the two best paid players at the club, on the bench. Get rid. I've censored that a little bit. David Marshall says, just arrived. Who are we talking about? We're talking about getting rid of some players. Talking about maybe Onana going. Talking about Hojlund. Talking about Antony. Talking about Sancho. Talking about Rashford, if I didn't say him already. Heaven Soul says, Jay, any risk to the tour or what you lads are planning with all the stuff in the US? Yeah, it's not looking great what's going on in America at the minute, is it? I don't want to get all political, you know me, but it's sad scenes. It is a little bit concerning, but we will be there. We'll be going. Adam Swamley, you saw right, bro. You can swear away. Sam Hayden says Garnacho should go for 80 million. That's what clubs would ask United to pay if we came in for him. Where's anyone with this like Mudryk money? Remember when he went for 80 million? He had like 12 career goals. Could do with someone like that, couldn't they? Coming in with the big dough. Andy G says, will there be a stop in Dublin this year? We're aiming to do what we usually do, which is an event. If you're talking about us as Paddock, not Manchester United, an event in Dublin towards the end of the year. We love going to Dublin. Absolutely amazing the support we get over there, and we appreciate you all. Luke Powell says, Donnarumma staying at PSG shock. What did he say on Monday? Of all the things that aren't going to happen, Donnarumma to United isn't going to happen most. Wasn't exactly insightful with that one, was it? You guys all agreed with me. You all saw it. There was a news report saying that Donnarumma could end up at United. It stunk of him trying to get a new deal at PSG. And guess what's happened? He's got a new deal at PSG. He's staying at PSG. Heaven Soul says 189 subs till 800k, lads. John Kind says, Jay, do you suffer from hay fever? It's doing my head in, bro. No, I don't, but everyone in my house, other than me, suffers from it. Chris Quigley says, Jay, who's on the brew this week with you? It's Steve Turkey. Joe's going to be with me and a special guest. So make sure, if you're not doing so already, you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers, and we're almost there. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat. I've had a really good morning chatting to you all. We're going to be back later on today. We're going to have agree or disagree. Then we're going to have transfers live tonight. So subscribe to the channel and make sure if you're not doing as well, you are hitting that like button. I've been Jay Motty. This has been a Paper Talk in a kitchen in pretty sunny Salford. Thanks for watching.